Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about the different selection tools in Photoshop. Jumping right in, we're going to first talk about the Move tool, which looks just like this one here. As you can see, the yellow selector ellipse, and you can find it right here at the top of your toolbar. If you're into the shortcuts, the shortcut for the Move tool is the letter V on your keyboard. The Move tool moves selections, layers, and guides. So if you come over with the Move tool selected to your layer panel, select the layer that you'd like to move. Right now I currently have the selector ellipse highlighted. You'll see the transform controls, which are these little squares throughout. If you don't see that, it's a simple checkbox right here at the top of your toolbar with the Move tool selected. Once you have the Move tool selected and the layer, you should be able to move that element around on your screen. In addition to be able to moving it, you can scale it. You can rotate it. And if you're not ready to commit to this transformation, if you're not feeling it, or if you decided, oops, I didn't mean to do that, right here at the top of that toolbar, you'll see a check mark and then a circle with a line through it. If you're good and you're ready to commit, go ahead and press that check mark. If not, you can cancel the transformation by either pressing escape on your keyboard or going right up to the top and saying cancel. Then it would go back to the original state. And that's kind of the basics of the Move tool. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Marquee Tools. Now, as these tools we're starting to get into, other than the Move tool, you'll start to see what we call the running ants. Going over here to the toolbar, it's right below your Move tool. It's the rectangular Marquee tool, or the shortcut M on your keyboard. Now, if you click and hold this tool, you'll see that you have multiple options in there. You've got the rectangular, the elliptical Marquee tool, a single row Marquee tool, and a single column Marquee tool. They all do pretty much the same thing. They make a selection of that shape. So you have a rectangular selection or a circle or elliptical selection. So we're going to actually just go right for the rectangular Marquee tool. And you're about to see what I'm talking about when I say running ants. So I'm going to click and drag. And when I release, you'll now see this kind of running ants dotted line. When you see that running ants dotted line, you know that you've then made a selection. To cancel the selection, you can Command or Control D to deselect. Now moving on to the next tool, going back to my Move tool to move my selector, we have the Lasso Tool. The Lasso Tool is right below your Marquee Tools, and it's the shortcut L on your keyboard. This allows you to make freehand selections. So if you click the lasso and you hold, you'll see that you have different options. This is the polygonal lasso tool and the magnetic lasso tool. Essentially, this tool allows you to make the freehand, polygonal, which is straight edged, and magnetic to snap to selections. So we'll do a quick demo of this. So as you see, I'm kind of painting along this area and all the way back to the beginning, and now I have my running ants. Then I can do select, deselect. And it would deselect my running ants. So now I'm going to move my selector tool down to our next option, which is the quick selection tool. This is actually probably one of my favorites when it comes to creating composite images and those masks. The quick selection tool lets you quickly paint a selection using an adjustable round brush tip. So it looks right here, it looks like a paintbrush with the running ants. If you click this, you'll see that at the top, you will now kind of have that brush option. And you will see that it lets you add to the selection or subtract from your selection. So you can kind of come back in and edit that selection. Not much to really kind of select here, but we will give it a shot. I'm going to actually make a new layer and make sure that I have sample all layers on so that it'll let me pick up different layers. So now I'm going to click, kind of add to my selection. I can take away from my selection and kind of paint back my running ants. And that is the quick selection tool. I'm going to deselect, come back to my move tool and move my selector down to our last selection tool, which is the magic wand tool. If you have not noticed, that is a magic wand. Now, the magic wand is good in some cases. It'll work really well here because I have a flat selection of color, because the magic wand tool selects similarly colored areas. So if I go back up to my empty layer and I come right over to my quick selection tool, click and hold, now I have my magic wand. Sometimes the magic wand defaults, but if you click and hold, you can see that you now have the quick selection or the magic wand. So using the magic wand, you can see up here there's point, samples, tolerance, and all this really kind of advanced stuff. So if I make sure sample all layers is on, I'm in my empty layer, click, and it now has selected everything that is yellow. I can then add to my selection and say everything that is black in this area. And now you can see kind of does a really nice job here when you're working with one solid color area. If you start getting into images with multiple different colors that are kind of close, you'll start seeing that it's not probably the best tool to use in those situations. So I'm going to deselect, and that concludes our video for the selection tools.